Hey guys, welcome to Rapid Fire Rundown. Today, we're going to be discussing a proper holster setup. More specifically, we're going to be looking at everything in this box. Yeah, if you're interested in firearms at all, I can assure you, you're going to have a box dedicated to holsters eventually. This video is just going to be to give you some tips on how to avoid having 15 different holsters. Not to say that's not going to happen. It is. If you have at least a handgun, you're going to go through a couple holsters before you find what's good for you. But I wanted to point you in the right direction, see if we can fix any mistakes that I found along the way. All right, so in front of us, we have a 43X. To the right of it, we have a USP Tactical. There's no reason this should be here. I just think it's sexy, and I like to touch it constantly. Video on this coming up really soon. But over here, we have my main concealed carry weapon, right? This channel, I've spent a good amount of videos at this point talking about the Glock 43X and why I think it's a great concealed carry weapon. And I have a couple different holster setups, and I wanted to give my opinions on them as well. So, before we get started on all those holsters I just showed you a moment ago, one other thing. One large part of this video is, like I said, just finding a holster that is going to work for you. Not every holster is going to work for every person. Depending on your body size, you will find that some holsters work, some of them don't, whether it be appendix, whether it be just a single loop, or whether it be a strong side carry or a small of the back carry. It doesn't matter. Everyone is a little bit different. And I implore you to go out and try holsters, or try your buddy's holsters, or see what exactly you prefer. I really like appendix, and I really like probably 2 or 3 o'clock carry, but for some people that doesn't work at all. If you don't like a holster jetting into your appendix and your crotch area, appendix may not be for you. Okay, so let's get started on the first holster here, and it's actually going to be the one that I use the most, and it is relevant to this 43X setup. This is a Tenacor holster. I've briefly shown this previously, but Tenacor has a really good reputation on things like Reddit, Instagram, whatever have you, and Tenacor is a phenomenal option. In this video, I'm not actually going to be showing you guys what this looks like on me, because like I said, every person is different. I recommend you look up images, try to find people with like your same body weight. But this Tenacor holster is extremely modular. It is obviously not a appendix rig like something like a T-Rex Arms or a Tier 1, but it is a extremely stable holster with these Tier 1 concealed clips. And like I said, Tenacor for a lot of people is considered the gold standard. And I think the reason for that is, first of all, a lot of holster companies have come out with things called wedges, which push into your leg or your crotch area, really. And it instead makes it so the weapon is, because if I put this in the holster, all weapons are clear in this video, instead of it being straight down, it's going to push a little bit into your stomach and conceal carry a little bit better. I shouldn't spend so long talking about this, so I'm going to give one good pro, one good con. One pro of it is it conceals very well, and it's extremely comfortable, even though I am still getting used to this wedge kit. One other thing I wanted to comment on is, first of all, I have goon tape on these clips, as well as right here. I actually really like this. If you guys have tape lying around, put it on that wedge and put it on these clips, and it actually makes it a lot more comfortable, and it's not going to eat your belt. And now moving on to cons, the biggest con of this is I find with my concealed carry belt, and I'm going to grab that, with my concealed carry belt, which is a core in Flectarn, because Flectarn is awesome, I find that when I go to grab my holster, when I go to draw, I find that my hand, when I go for the draw, the belt ride's right here, it can kind of bust up my knuckles on that draw. Right? And no matter how much I adjust this, I've noticed that to be the case. So that's probably my biggest con with the Tenacor. Alright, let's move on, because I just spent 3 minutes just talking about one holster. Regardless, Tenacor, I recommend them. They're pretty great. The next one, and I'm not going to be showing every one of my holsters, but I'm going to give you an overview of a lot of the popular ones. The next one, this one is T-Rex arms. T-Rex arms is, for some reasons, the reason I got into firearms. That and Garand Thumb and a couple other of those really popular gun channels, so I'm extremely biased. That being said, T-Rex arms makes a fantastic holster. Now, I gotta speed this up, so I'm gonna give you guys a really quick overview. It's of course an appendix holster. The belt clip either goes here or off to the left side. That's my greatest complaint about the holster setup, is it's really annoying having to move your belt onto like the left side of your waist. I think it's a little bit awkward. And I do have some other concealed carry belts. This one, as an example, it almost looks like a seat belt, but it's extremely thin. And it actually makes it so you can have it in between if you'd like. This is made by Travax if you're interested. But like I said, that's my greatest con with the T-Rex arms, is just that I do find it kind of annoying, as well as it is a really bulky holster setup technically. But that being said, it conceal carries extremely well because it's in the front of you, right above your crotch, or where like your shirt's going to lie. And it's extremely concealable. It's a extremely fast draw. That's probably the greatest pro of it, as well as it lets you carry a spare mag or a spare tourniquet. And I actually have the tourniquet attachment on here most of the time. I have this holster for, I think this is for a Glock 34, as well as I have it for like a 19 and a 43 setup, so I obviously like it. Can't go wrong with T-Rex, but just know that going into it, if you don't like appendix carry rigs, you're obviously not going to like this. Okay, moving on. Over here, I'm going to show you guys another Tentacore really quickly. This one is mostly for fun. I just want to share it because I think it's hilarious. This is a Compt 1911, which what I hope is not rust. No, it's not rust. This is a Compt 1911 chambered in 460 Roland. If that's not the funniest thing you've ever seen, I don't know what you're doing here. If you shoot this and then put it in your pants, this thing sizzles you really quickly. I think that's hilarious. All right, so another setup for you from T-Rex Arms. This is a T-Rex Arms sidecar. This is made for a 43 with a TLR6 on it. Great little setup. Extremely thin, actually, because of course the 43 is thin, and you can put tier 1 clips on it, and you can carry a spare mag. So if you're interested in carrying a smaller firearm, you know, T-Rex Arms might be the way to go. Really nifty setup that I don't use this carry piece too often, but I should because it's great. And of course the trigger is completely covered too, so. All right, I got a fun one. Don't do it. When we all start carrying, we always go on Amazon, or we're scrolling through Facebook and we notice some weird holsters, or some holsters that are supposedly better than everything else. Oh, this sticky holster, it's the most comfortable one. You can just throw it in your pocket or throw it in your pants and it'll stick. I don't know, guys. Don't buy a sticky holster. Wear a dedicated concealed carry belt and get a concealed carry holster. This shit is awful. Your draw is going to be awful. Your putting this back in your pants is going to be awful if you do have to like train at the range. As well as, you know, you pull this out of your pants, there's like a 50-50 chance of the gun coming out with a holster on it and you're gonna kill yourself. So don't buy dumb shit. Get that out of here. The next one, this, I don't even know what company makes this, but this was actually given to me when I bought my first firearm, which was actually a 43 off like a friend. You know, expensive holsters are great, guys. Buy expensive holsters because they're more comfortable, they're more durable. But I gotta admit, I've got some Amazon specials here that, I mean, guys, it's a piece of plastic, it's a piece of Kydex. They're remarkably comfortable. They're remarkably effective. I got one other as well. This right here. When I put a TLR6 on my old Glock 43, bought this on Amazon for probably 20 or 30 bucks. I mean, where'd my 43 go? I mean, is it as great as the other holsters? No, but I mean, it does the job, right? Clip's a little bulky, but it does the job. Okay, so this one, I no longer have the Firearm here, this was actually specifically made for a 1911 with an X300 on it, a Dan Wesson 1911 with an X300 on it, and this was a pretty awful holster. This manufacturer, I can't remember the name, I'll put it on the screen. They took about 6 months to build the holster. I had to communicate with them multiple times, and even when it came in, it actually didn't really fit at all. Every time I put in the firearm, it would just eat up the walls of this holster because it wasn't fitted properly. So yeah, custom manufacturers. There's a lot of small businesses out there that we want to support because they're small businesses and we feel bad. But dear God, I'm sticking to the big guys, right? I'm over dealing with independent shops. And lastly, I have 2 wild cards I wanted to discuss. The first one, Filster. Okay. This is the Floodlight. This is going to fit any firearm, or most firearms, with a X300. The X300 is a extremely popular weapon light, and I'll grab an X300 firearm for you. Give me one moment. So if you do have a couple different setups with X300s, this is actually a nifty little setup. It's a little tight. I need to do the retention, but like I said, this doesn't clasp around the firearm. It instead clasps around the X300. So if you do have multiple X300 firearms, you can just use this one holster. It is fairly comfortable. It of course stretches with this paracord, which you can adjust. I opted for loops. Loops are pretty comfortable. I don't think I like them as much as clips, but you know, we're all experimenting. And Floodlight, I recommend it. If I grab my Roland build over here, I'll show you that this theoretically should work. Yeah, there you go. And now I can have a P226 and a Roland holster in one. Pretty comfortable, you know, because it's not sized directly to the firearm, it doesn't have the best retention, but regardless, it's not bad. The last holster we're going to go over today is the other wild card. This is a Enigma. Now, if you've been around Reddit, you've seen this holster everywhere. So what this does is it is a belt chassis system. I have a couple upgrades on it to make it a little bit more comfortable, but it is, you don't actually wear this with a belt, you wear it under your pants, and you connect it by this right here, right? So imagine this is a belt, it clips in, and then your holster, you actually attach to this like laser cut, I'm assuming, carbon fiber-esque piece. The Tenacore holster actually works with that, wherever that Tenacore holster went. Well, it's somewhere. But the Tenacore holster actually interfaces here. You set it up, you put this on your body, measure everything out, and then, like I said, it will go under your clothing, so you can wear it in like basketball shorts or a suit. It's a pretty interesting design. I'm not extremely fond of it, and I have moved away from it, to be honest with you, just because I find the draw to not be very good and it not to be as comfortable as a proper concealed carry setup with a dedicated like core belt like I showed you previously, and like a tier 1 holster or Tenacore holster. But it's interesting. A lot of people swear by it. Go to Reddit and a million people will tell you it's the best holster ever made. I'm not in that camp, but hey, once again, it just comes down to not being for me. Try it out. It's really not that expensive. Everything here isn't that expensive. A nice holster really is going to be probably about $100 or less. TRX is probably a little more expensive because they're actual like rig setups that require more kydex. But a lot of the holsters here are relatively cheap. Try what's for you. And like I said, you're going to have about 50 holsters by the time you're done. All right, so my favorite holster here is probably going to go to the Filster, as well as the Tenacore holster I just showed you. Right here. I have, for the most part, moved away from appendix rigs, which take up the entire front of me, and I do enjoy more right side carry than anything else, or right side of my, you know, like center line carry, more than a dedicated appendix holster setup. But like I said, that doesn't mean that that's the same for you. You're going to have 20 holsters by the time you're done finding what fits your body type. Get out there, buy quality materials, Try to try your friend's holsters, see if that works for you. Go into a shop and see if they'll let you try on holsters. I don't know. But regardless, find what works for your body type and then please carry. If you don't have a proper holster setup, you'll find yourself making excuses saying, oh, well, I would carry, but it's just so uncomfortable. Or, oh, I'm wearing formal clothes, so I don't want to carry right now. Don't be one of those people. I have a buddy that has so many different firearms, and if you're watching this, you know I'm talking to you. Has so many different firearms and a couple different holsters, but he says, I just don't like wearing a belt, so I'm not going to carry my gun. And I look at him like, what are you doing? Right? You can wear that filter setup back there. That not the floodlight, the appendix carry rig, whatever the hell it's called. If you're opposed to wearing a belt and holster, but if you are okay with wearing a belt, there are some really minimalist designs, like, of course, this Tenacore here. This is a extremely lightweight, extremely small design, and I recommend them. Most of these holsters are tuckable as well, so you would be able to wear this under a suit and, like, dress shirts, dress pants. All right. Wrapping up this video, this was supposed to be a rapid fire review. It ended up being 16 minutes of me just talking to a camera. If you enjoy this video, click like, subscribe, comment down below. Tell me if you have any other holsters that you recommend. I haven't been through all of them, like things like Tier 1 I've completely omitted from this list because I don't have any time on them. But if you do have any other recommendations, please feel free to tell me. All right, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next one.